Nothing can be used as justification for that kind of behaviour. It was absolutely reprehensible. Fine them, ban them for life, and Manchester City should be ashamed of themselves if they don't come out and condemn it now. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Yahoo Footballing Weekly with me, what am I? Author and Yahoo columnist Neil Humphreys.
And me, Yahoo editor Chia, Keong, and him.
Haizam, Napstudio.
Yeah, you met him before. Napshot. Yep.
Yeah, welcome back.
Very depressed City fan, and
That's why I'm wearing black today.
very happy Manchester Liverpool fan.
Whoa, that was a Freudian slip. I mean, we've got a Manchester City guy, a Liverpool guy. We've got absolutely nothing to talk about this week.
What's there to talk about?
Wasn't it? But before we get into the whole, we've got lots of comments. Thank you very much. We will go through some of them. But just, what a game. I mean, what a fantastic, noisy, gritty, violent, visceral, volatile, and anything else beginning with V. It was just a great game. I loved it.
In case you don't know, it's Manchester City versus Liverpool at Anfield.
I was talking about West Ham. What was you talking about?
about?
No, it was fabulous. Yeah. Right, we got some comments, plenty of comments coming in. Do you want to do the first one, Liverpool, Man City?
I mean, we last week we were talking about Liverpool going downhill because after they lost to Arsenal. So some people were saying that Arsenal are like taking over Liverpool in a sense that they are now the more garang ones, the ones who are playing with the kind of fervor and passion that Liverpool wants.
Exciting football.
Yeah, a bit more exciting football. So we say, Arsenal is the new Liverpool, and then got people obviously not happy. So Vince wanna say, I don't really hope we want to switch destiny with Arsenal because Arsenal didn't make the top four last season. So I say, yes, the Gunners can get the title, but I hope Liverpool also finish in the top four. Okay, fair enough. If you
possible. I'm looking at the table. It's possible.
After this week's, maybe it's possible.
It is possible. I mean, they've got a couple of games in hand as well on some of the other teams, so it is possible. All right, let's do Liverpool first.
Yeah.
What's your take? You start.
I mean, obviously, it's a very morale-boosting victory. Obviously, the midweek when we beat Rangers by 7-1, I think that was crucial. If we had drawn or even lost to Rangers, I think I seriously don't think Manchester City we would have beaten them. But all throughout the team, everybody played above and beyond what they did in this season. It's by far their best performance. Alisson was rock solid, made the assist for the goal. Joe Gomez and James Miller, when we saw the team list, all the Liverpool fans, all the Liverpool said, what? How are we going to fend off Erling Haaland with those two?
But it was also probably Klopp's best performance of the season, I think, because you're right. You look at that team on paper, you must have been excited when you saw that team on paper. 36-year-old at right back, inconsistent guy at centre back. It looked like a shoo-in for Manchester City, but it was very defensive by Klopp standards. It was kind of a loose 4-2-3-1, but they had very fixed positions, Milner especially. He didn't bomb forward like Alexander-Arnold normally does.
Didn't.
I mean, he couldn't really. Yeah. The only one, as I said in my column, who didn't have a fixed position as such was Salah.
Yeah.
Salah was the only one giving a bit of license, and you could see the Manchester City defence wasn't quite sure where to go with him. He kept drifting out to the right side, his favoured position. Do they follow him? Do they stay? Do they track him? Do they let him go? And he was pulling them forward and backwards, and that's where the game came from. Yeah. The goal came from. On a transition, a quick turnover. It was a City attack. Alisson gets the ball. Suddenly he's back in the middle. Suddenly he's kind of in a number 10 role almost. Slips your friend, Cancelo, who was off on his holidays, different postcode. End of story. So Liverpool, I don't necessarily think this is some eureka moment, some epiphany. I just think they're about where they are. I mean, Manchester City had a bit of an off day. Liverpool, everything worked. We'll get to Guardiola in a moment. What I will say about Klopp, he is a master. Everything he says, that press conference when he talked about Manchester City being dominant financially, them, PSG and Newcastle, and nobody else can compete. He didn't just throw that out there. He does nothing on a whim. That press conference, I think I read, was about 6 minutes long. So he chooses his answers very carefully. I believe he went into that press conference intending to do that because he's the master at playing the underdog, the proletariat, the working classes, giving it to the man. And you felt it in the stadium. I mean, it's a cliche, but when it comes to the 12th man, Anfield was just explosive. And I think that comes from Klopp.
Yeah, but for one thing, the press conference which I saw the clip of it, and I think somebody asked him that question.
Yeah, they did.
But I think he seized upon it and
Of course.
and made it into a sort of like a rallying cry for Liverpool. But yeah, and like you said, Salah was the key. I think he put him in a central position first, but he kept drifting everywhere. And then with Roberto Firmino just supporting him at the back at the start of the game, I think they created a lot of uncertainty, and that eventually wore the Man City defense down a bit.
Yeah.
Before they went in for the kill. First half was a bit slow burn, and then suddenly second half was just all madness. all madness broke loose.
Exactly, and that brings us to your mob, Haizam, Manchester City. I wrote the column for Yahoo. There is a growing amount of data to show that Pep Guardiola struggles with chaos. He struggles when the game is a pinball affair. He likes it. It's a sleek, controlled machine, right? All moving parts, constantly moving, rotating, spinning around. When the game frays, when it becomes a bit loose and, as I say, chaotic, he struggles to apply his system upon the game. You saw it in the second half. The more frayed the game became, the more Liverpool came into it and the less City could deal with it. And Klopp, his genius is, he knows this. So he plays on it. He tries to get in Guardiola's face. He knows Guardiola, this cerebral, deep-thinking man, can't handle it. He knows the Liverpool fans are going to goad him. He knows that it's going to be volatile. He knows it's going to be a circus-like atmosphere. Guardiola doesn't like circuses. Guardiola likes chess. He likes to control every component, every element, every pawn. When he can't do it, like he couldn't do it in the Champions League, against Monaco, against Liverpool, against Chelsea, against Tottenham, against Real Madrid, there is a clear pattern. When the game frays, when it becomes volatile, when it becomes unpredictable, spontaneous, improvised, he doesn't seem to have an answer, Haizam, and it's becoming a problem. He's only won at Liverpool once, and that was when it was empty.
I think the issue here is that, and like what you mentioned, Klopp has always had the heavy metal gegenpressing kind of football, and I think it showed when he was at Dortmund, against how Bayern played, So translate that into when Liverpool and City, like Pep, he has always been the kind where every player in every position serves its purpose.
Yeah.
So I think like what you mentioned, Anfield, 12 man, the atmosphere was that because City came to the game unbeaten. Liverpool was 10. No, and like the media and everyone was saying like, oh, it's gonna be a walk in the park for City. And turns out, what happened? One VAR disallowed goal.
Correctly.
Everything went
correctly.
Yeah.
It was a correct decision.
But here's the thing. That's the thing. Like, how do I think a lot of City even Bernardo Silva was saying that the referee was inconsistent in that sense. Like, you gave away a lot of the you play on the fouls and whatnot until terdapat to the goal.
He was inconsistent.
Yeah.
He sent off Klopp, but he didn't send off Guardiola.
Yeah, so
he was inconsistent.
And
Actually, it was consistent. He let the ball play on, but it's the VAR who called him back.
That's like, I think, key back to the issue, like you want to let the game play, because of the passion, and then suddenly because of the goal, because it's Anfield.
Yep.
Definitely the 12th man, the pressure of like, okay, I cannot screw up my decision over here. If I allow that goal, and if I don't consult the VAR, it's like damn if you do, damn if you don't. Then it's like when it got cancelled VAR, I know it's like, you know what, Liverpool is gonna hit with a sucker punch. Whoa. And then when it happened, it really happened. It's really like, how do you fight? I mean, good for Liverpool because it's like what you want to say, it's a moral booster. For City, I think it's a bit of a slip.
Yeah, it's a slip. It's a slip. But it is part of a bigger picture that I still think Manchester City fans will be concerned about. Have you noticed there's always blips or slips or miscarriages of justice, and it only happens to Man City in the final moments of key games. The key games, the ones we just said, Real Madrid, Monaco, Tottenham, Liverpool, Chelsea, and now Liverpool again. There has to be, once is a fluke, twice is a coincidence, 3 is a pattern.
And
this is about 6 now.
I think for Klopp, I think for Pep, I think he doesn't. Okay, he's very resistant. If you look at it, he's not the kind where he has a plan B or plan C. If you look at it, like we look
And
at
for the most part, he doesn't need it, you know.
Yeah, and I think, and because the thing is that, I take for example the Champions League final against Chelsea.
Yep.
Got the sucker punch.
Yep.
Suddenly everything does not work for Pep. Like, so how do we counter? It's like, you know, when you have one bad move and everything falls apart. So I think with Pep, for me as a City fan, I am not worried too much because there's no plan B. Because if you look at it, if the machine works. But then when shit hits the fan, for lack of a better word, that's the worrying part of like, okay, so what do we have? What kind of is in
I'm a Manchester City fan and I'm not worried. I mean, if you were worried, then what chance everybody other club in the world?
But in a way, yeah, I also don't think Klopp has a very good plan B as well. I think these two, they're very reliant on their main philosophy and it doesn't go. But for Pep, there's something that it's not about the thing falling, the players unable to react when they're falling apart. It's when he already trots out very weird formations and no directions for the players. For example,
Because he overthinks.
For the Sunday's game, he put Cancelo, who used to be playing on the left.
Yeah.
He put him on the right.
Yeah.
And suddenly, okay, he put him on the right. Then who's on the right? KDB has to move somewhere, and Foden, okay, has to do a bit of defensive duties, and he's a bit more withdrawn. It's not as advanced as before. Then midway through, then they switch Cancelo to center midfield or center defense again. And you know, if I were Cancelo, I would like, okay, what he obviously be confused at what to do.
Yeah.
Who is he to blame for letting that Salah get past him for the goal?
I don't think he should be blamed for that. To be honest with you, I mean, let's face it, it's a blip first and foremost. But number two, with Pep, okay, I read his autobiography. His brain is like working 24/7. You know, like he has like plan. Okay, like you imagine, like Cancelo is the inverted wingback who happens to be who can do the playmaker role.
Yeah.
So it's like, even for City fans, when you see the lineup, right? Like when you have Cancelo coming in, then you have Kevin De Bruyne, being withdrawn, and then you have Bernardo Silva, kind of like the orchestra, here, there, everywhere. So it feels like you can, even as City fans, you will never know what is Pep's best 11.
But the thing is, you made the key point there. It's the lack of control that he doesn't have in these key games, but particularly against Liverpool. I genuinely think there's a real loathing for Klopp. They pretend, right? He hates the fact that Klopp has deliberately portrayed him as the villain. And that Manchester City are now the bogeymen villains of the league now. They are the Goliaths and Liverpool, who are not paupers, by the way. They're still owned by an American investment fund. They're still one of the biggest clubs in the world. But Klopp has ingeniously done it in such a way that now it's kind of this sort of Robin Hood situation where they're the everyman's hero, which is absolute rubbish. But that's the way he's redrawn, or rewritten, I should say, the narrative. And it clearly annoys him, and it annoyed him in that game. The supporters annoyed him, and he lost it. He lost control.
This is Anfield.
This is Anfield, as I said.
Anfield.
And I think with the fact that with Liverpool fans, I think I know the fact that when their backs are against the wall, I think that's the tribal mentality comes into place.
I've been to most of the stadiums in the UK at different times or another, and this upsets neutrals because or certainly Man U fans, City fans, because it happens to be the truth. There is no stadium I've ever been to like Anfield when it's packed, especially if it's a night game. There isn't. I've been to Old Trafford, Anfield, the White Hart Lane, Upton Park, the old Highbury, the new, pretty much most of the stadiums. Nowhere comes close to Anfield. You can bitch about it, complain about it, dispute it.
Facts are facts.
But it's the facts. And Klopp knows it, and he plays it like a bloody orchestra.
Which is why Virgil van Dijk has not lost at home at Anfield ever since he came to Liverpool in 2018.
And Guardiola's never beat them when it's been a full house. Which we've got to talk about briefly, this last thing. I think this is one of the reasons why some of the behaviour, it's not your fault. I'm not putting you on the spot, obviously, but
obviously not.
some of the behaviour from Manchester City supporters was just unforgivable. Unforgivable. I'll say it. It was utterly disgusting. Now, I'll be the neutral here. Liverpool threw coins, unforgivable. Find them, ban them for life, get rid of them. But to call Liverpool supporters murderers in a chant over and over again when 97 people died at Hillsborough because of the incompetence and the corruption and the cover-up of the police officers at Hillsborough that day and the British government subsequently, that was proven in an inquiry that Liverpool fans were entirely, ruled to be exempted from any blame or culpability whatsoever. And here we are, all these years later, 97 lives lost, and Manchester City supporters, small minority, whatever, calling them murderers is absolutely bloody disgusting. And the fact that Manchester City has taken so long to denounce them and making up some crap about Klopp winding the crowd up and goading the crowd. Whatever Klopp said in a press conference, whatever he did, whatever he said, whatever he did on the touchline, nothing can be used as justification for that kind of behaviour. It was absolutely reprehensible. Fine them, ban them for life, and Manchester City should be ashamed of themselves if they don't come out and condemn it now. I hate to be, it winds me up, but it's to me there's no. This is a black and white issue.
I think this is a very touchy subject because as
not when it's Hillsborough, it's not. It's black and white.
For Asian fans, for us, I think we will never be able to relate in that sense. I mean, granted, whatever vile chance, I'm against it. Regardless, if you're talking about the Munich, we're talking about the Hillsborough, we're talking anything that is tragedy, it shouldn't be used as banter.
Yeah, I agree.
Having said that, I think the issue here is that I recently watched the Welcome to Wrexham documentary. I think there was
it's good, right?
Yeah, it's good. And I watched the episode of the hooligans episode.
Yeah.
It was crazy that because of this tribalism mentality, and like I said, as an Asian fan, I cannot relate. We grew up on different football. But for over there, because you're born and bred, you know how the.
But is that true though? Because Keong often talks about the tribalism within Singapore. Man U to the day I die, Liverpool to how many times we see those NS like Facebook posts, this is my team, this is my colours, win, lose or draw, Ten Hag, I follow you. Like it's an NS thing, It's
there are part of fans that way, but I think even I can't admit totally that I've gone through these tragedies and everything, and you have a very real connection to it.
I remember
it's right from far.
Yes.
I mean, we saw it. Obviously, I saw Hillsborough live on TV, but the pain of the Liverpool community is something is very.
It's shared. It's really.
I mean, we will sympathize, but we can't fully comprehend that kind of tragedy in that community.
Yeah.
So it's really very hard for us to kind of like understand from that perspective. I mean, if you ask me, what that minority of City fans who chanted that, if they need to ban them for life, by all means, go ahead. I mean, football is tribalism for the longest time. That's the reality.
But I agree, ban them all. The guys throwing coins, ban them, and the guys calling murderers. I shouldn't even have to say this. Ban them as well. Let's quickly talk about something much more positive. There is a team called Arsenal, and they are in the chase. They are right. We got some comments.
Unbeaten.
We got some comments. Right, before you get to the comment, I just found a stat, Keong. Listen to this. I didn't even believe this myself. Right? Do you know this is their best start to a season ever, including the invincible season?
No way.
At this stage of the season, they have 1 point more than the Invincibles did back in 2003, 2004.
Too bad they lost that one match.
I know. one defeat so far.
Yeah.
But we've got some comments, right?
Yeah, obviously, there are a lot of Arsenal fans in Singapore. So one of them, I don't know how to pronounce it, Maura Rome. We are not the new Liverpool. We are the new Arsenal.
That's a bit of a criticism of me, but that's completely fine.
So there's another person who says, well, Arsenal fans, he's explaining why Mikel Arteta seems to be so good this season. He said, well, Arsenal fans made Arteta tough with all the hashtag Arteta out.
Yeah.
In the last few seasons, they were quite critical of them.
Yeah.
So maybe this time it hardened Arteta, made him now what now is the sort of like the manager of the moment.
Very good. I mean, Haizam, what do you think? They're your closest challengers at the moment, rivals.
Second team.
They're above you.
Okay. So the thing is that with Arteta, Arteta is proof that when you give manager time to put their philosophy, it will work miracles.
Yeah.
I think I remember that time when Arteta took over from Arsenal. You know, it's always the Arteta out, Arteta in, Arteta out. It's really kind of like ridiculous. Like it's always that short term fix. Like, oh, we want success.
Yep.
So now they are reaping that rewards.
He has made a convert of Piers Morgan.
Wow.
Piers Morgan is now like, whoa,
Piers Morgan is a benchmark for Arsenal fans. Like, you know, when he talks
last
good
season
Arsenal,
was like completely attacking Arteta left, right, center every game. Say Arteta should go. This season, he's like, I'm sold on Arteta. Arteta forever.
Wow. Well, I mean, to anybody who might be eating their dinner or lunch or breakfast, we are sorry we brought up the name Piers Morgan. It will not happen again. Right, now, but league title credentials, what do you seriously think? I'm still going to go with the cliche. It's just a fraction too early. I mean, I was looking at their fixtures, right? If we get to the World Cup, and they're still where they are now, we have to take them seriously. There's only 4 more games, right? Listen to this. And there are Southampton, winnable. Nottingham Forest, winnable. Wolves, winnable. The key game is Chelsea. They've got a visit to Stamford Bridge on the 6th of November.
This is before the
For the World Cup. But if they win 3 of those games and get a draw at Stamford Bridge, say, for example, I think we've got to start taking them seriously.
Oh, yeah. I mean, against Leeds, they didn't play well. They were battered by Leeds in the second half.
Yep.
But they somehow drag out a victory.
Yep.
So the harder, like Ted Lasso said, man, the harder you work, the luckier you
Ted
get.
Lasso.
If he quotes Ted Lasso on this podcast one more
I'm Ted
time,
Lasso fan.
we've done Wrexham,
AFC Richmond.
we've done Ted Lasso, we've done everything. Right. But no, I think let's see how they get to the World Cup. I genuinely believe their first 11, terrific, no issues.
Yep.
But in their recent European game, they only had a squad of 16.
Yeah.
That's their full squad. They had no one else to call up. So the only comparison I would make, there is some echoes of Leicester City in 2016. They had a lot of circumstances went in their favour, but they had a fantastic first 11. And nobody got injured. That's why even now we can remember most of their lineup, right? Yeah. Vardy and Schmeichel and all and so on and so on. Wes Morgan and whatever. Because it was pretty much the fixed 11, 12 players for the whole season. Arsenal do not have the squad of the other.
They got a hope beyond hope.
They stay injury-free. They get to the World Cup. They got a chance. We need it. But what do you think? More importantly, what do you think? Can Arsenal
win?
Follow his fellas? Should we be banning those supporters? Is Manchester City finished? Is it all over for Manchester City? Let us know. Send your comments, especially to YouTube. By all means, post your comments on YouTube, my Twitter feed, his Twitter feed, and also
Yahoo Southeast Asia on YouTube, Yahoo SG, Yahoo_MY on Twitter, or Yahoo SEA on TikTok.
Exactly. See you in part 2, where we're going to talk about VAR coming to Singapore.
Yeah.